Andy, for having me. And just to give you guys a little brief introduction to myself, my name is Madison Banbury. I live in Worcester, Ohio, so about an hour or so from DAC headquarters. And we have a show lamb program that we help kids with across the country with showmanship, feeding, fitting, basically full scale, everything it takes to be in the show lamb industry. So I spoke with Tina a couple years ago and attended a DAC days, and then ended up becoming an endorsing partner with them 2 years ago, and have been using the products ever since. So for your guys' sake, I'm going to go over some of the products that we use, that we love, how we apply them, and then what that means for you all as dealers. And then if you have any specific questions, please let me know. But we'll just go ahead and jump right into the products. So the first product that I wanted to talk about was Big Gain. Big Gain. So basically, what's in it? What are some of these selling points as far as quality product within Big Gain? Kelp meal. When I talk to my hog breeders and fitters and feeders and all those things, the kelp meal was a huge selling point. They basically love having the product that's so fortified, and like having the kelp in there as far as digestive health goes on their hogs and things like that. It has been very very helpful. And then there's various protein sources, which is a huge selling point. Protein for muscle, maybe a little bit build muscle on those animals. And that's kind of the best way that I would use it. I know the name itself, and then when you start reading the product label, might get a little bit confusing. So this is not a product that is going to help you develop fat. You are not going to be gaining fat with this product. You are going to be gaining muscle. From this product would be, you're going to use this to create muscle shape within the animal. I do want to just clarify a little bit if someone comes in and they're like, hey, he's eating good, but we're just not getting the kind of muscle shape that we want. This product should help. If you have an animal that just simply doesn't have any muscle to it, it's not going to work miracles and make muscle that doesn't exist. But as you increase feed and try to increase your exercise program, feeding Big Gain along with that, with the level of protein in there, you are going to see a difference in making more athletic bodybuilder type muscle shape versus like a long distance runner. It's going to be that bulky, hard muscle. So we use this after the lambs have hit like 100 pounds. So I would not start this day one when you get animals home. I would wait and have this after the animals have put on a little bit of fat, so that they have some body shape to convert. If not, I think you're going to have lambs that stay, or livestock in general, that stays pretty skinny and has like a longer, leaner muscle. So that is kind of my takeaway on Big Gain. The next product that I wanted to talk about is probably my favorite product in the Show Contender lineup. It is Staying Power. So Staying Power is something that we utilize in all sorts of different ways. So Staying Power is something that we're going to use probably 3 days leading up to a show. It is going to be highly fortified with vitamins and minerals. Basically how we kind of utilize it for show prep is going to be to rehydrate those animals. So if we've had to slow down on feed intake to get their fill right, if we've had to try to drop some weight, if we're going to be traveling a long distance and we're concerned about them kind of getting wrung out and not staying as fresh as we would like them to be, staying power has been a wonderful product. The cool thing about staying power, for those of you who have used it or haven't used it, I guess, it comes in individual size bottles. So they sell in a case of 12, and you can add water to each bottle and then shake it up in the bottle that it comes in, and then use that to wet feed or drench if you're allowed to drench in your area. So we love the convenience with this product. You are not going to have to take out a whole bucket of electrolytes. It's super convenient, easy to pack. The other ways that we may use staying power, if we've got a ewe that gets down before she gives birth and she's, got pregnancy disease or something like that, basically to help kind of overload her with nutrients, we're going to go ahead and use a staying power in that application as well. The really nice thing on the hog side, for those customers who may be looking for an electrolyte, we don't have much problem with animals scouring on this product. So if they're going to a show and they may stress, we've not experienced a lot of issues with them getting loose or not being able to stay solid as far as keeping their guts healthy and things like that. The other nice thing is we have not experienced animals locking up on this product. So I know you got to be cautious sometimes with what kind of don't want to make the vitamins and minerals going into the animal unavailable to them, and have issues as far as overloading them with a product that they can't utilize. So we have loved staying power. We use it year round. I would say the only suggestion I would have with this is it is one of those products that once folks start to use it and you do have shows in your area, it will go off the shelves very quickly. So make sure that you have enough to utilize for customers who may want to try it. It does have a red dye, so that's one thing just to make mention of. I don't see that being an issue at all. We've not had any issues, and we've used it on white livestock, but it is something that I do make mention of. Okay, the LQHA plus. So about LQHA plus is it is something that's in the show contender line as well as in the general DAC line. So you guys are all probably pretty familiar with it. So the kind of the products that stick out to me, or the ingredients that stick out to me, are the hyaluronic acid, the MSM, and the vitamin E. So LQHA plus is going to be a daily product, and it's something that I would not at all hesitate to feed to everything, or I guess to use on everything in the barn. You could top dress with it. You could also drench with this product if that would be an easier application to make sure that your livestock is getting it. But the LQHA plus has been something we have used on several different species in the past. We like it for animals that may be a little bit more uncomfortable in the way that they move around. They have a hard time, getting loose and being comfortable in a show setting, or even if they're just not quite moving as fluid as we would like back in the barn. So it is something that we have used several times, especially when we start an intense exercise program. So I know we treadmill. We've got several families that use a track. So when we start increasing exercise, it can be hard on their joints. So we want to make sure that we are helping to make them as comfortable as possible. It is going to help with their cartilage and connective tissues, and just making sure that everything continues to move the way that it should. As far as that goes, the vitamin E is very available in the form that's utilized in LQHA plus. which is a wonderful option, especially for livestock who may not be consuming enough in their feed types as far as market animals go. This is a great way to restore some of the tissue and things like that that may get worn down in the way that they're being developed. So we have used that as well on hogs. I know a lot of hog breeders that are using this or recommending this, especially for hogs that want to lock up or aren't quite structurally where you would like them. It can be a great option. The oil. I believe everyone is pretty familiar with DAC oil. So this is a high fat product. It is 98% as far as fat content goes. It uses fish oil as well as flaxseed oil, which are super high quality sources of fat. The one thing that I have to applaud oil on is the palatability. I know it can be very tough on ruminant animals to use an oil-based fat. And we have not had any issues using oil in the past on animals going off feed, on animals kind of getting like a sour stomach and not really wanting to eat, especially in the summer. We have not experienced that issue with oil. We've used several other products and we have had major issues. So that was one thing that I thought was very, very cool when we started using this product. This could be utilized for customers who are pushing an animal to gain weight for a show. Someone who needs a little bit more fat cover, but their animals are kind of maxed out on how much feed they'll intake or maxed out on their feed intake. It's helped us, especially if we've got to get an animal ready for a show and they may be a little less mature. So it really helps us to kind of get that added benefit of a high fat source without having to add too much to the feed. This is another product that you could have customers top dress with, or you could drench with it. Basically, however they will consume it is wonderful. I will tell you this product is a little bit harder to pull animals back off of. Because they get to the point where they really don't want to eat their feed until the oil's on there, which you may have experienced on the horse side as well. But we have loved using oil. I would probably start out with a 10 cc, or I guess it'd be a 1/3 ounce on smaller animals. So like your sheep and goat customers probably would start out like right around that 10 cc mark. And then you could always increase for larger animals, probably 2/3 of a cc or 2/3 of an ounce for hogs, and then 1 ounce for fat steers. Okay, Ripped. Ripped is a super unique product that I would say you could save a customer's day with. The cool thing about Ripped is it is going to target problem areas in an animal. So it is going to have several sources of fat in there with your flaxseed oil, rice oil. The glycerin is going to help keep their hides fresh and tight. We have noticed that we use Ripped the most when we have an animal who is just about right as far as fat cover goes, everywhere except for maybe one area. So on sheep and goat customers, this might be their loin area, just doesn't quite have enough fat cover to it. So we're going to use a little bit of Ripped, and it just seems to know that is the area we're trying to fill in and goes there. The Ripped product is one that you are going to look at the price tag and really have customers ask if they can justify that cost. In my opinion, if you have a problem area, it is absolutely worth the cost of Ripped. You are not going to use nearly as much Ripped as most of the other products. So it is used in smaller amounts, but it is very, very effective. We have used this several times. We have had lambs that aren't quite there as far as condition goes, and maybe not there as far as weight goes, and still be able to handle well enough as far as like muscle goes to get around others. So the smooth fat is kind of a harder one. And we have really, really loved using this product. It is one that you have to introduce a little bit slowly. It's got a smell to it that I think is really great, but sometimes it can be a little bit off-putting. So you would just have to kind of into it. But when you use this in the correct application, it is 250% worth it. So we've had a lot of success with Ripped. Filler Up. So Filler Up is a high fiber product. Some applications that we would use Filler Up for, when we've got one that we would like to hopefully increase kind of their depth of flank, give them a little bit more belly, things like that, we would use Filler Up. It is very, very palatable. It is great for when you are starting to slow livestock down as far as weight gain, but don't want to kind of shrink in their body, or you want to keep their body looking full. We have loved Filler Up. The thing to remember when using a product or when recommending a product that is so high in fiber, it will expand within the gut. So I would not keep your feed content the same. I would probably go with probably a half or so measurement versus what you've normally been feeding of just regular grain, to kind of keep the same impact. So it is not something I would go in and use a pound of right off the bat, because that will expand within their gut and make them look very, very full. You don't want to get them too full and have them be uncomfortable. Some other times we'd use Filler Up if the weather is crazy and we want to increase some fiber, but we don't necessarily want to put them on a rough hay. We would use Filler Up. Basically, having that extra fiber in there will allow the animals to regulate their own body temperature, and help them to stay healthy, help them to stay solid when we go through big weather changes. So we would use this, from the time we bring animals in until, they are on show day. So I have really, really liked Filler Up. Like I said, it has been very, very palatable for us, but it is going to be your fiber product to help keep that animal full. Hold. So I believe Hold was made specifically for swine. I've heard very, very good things. I unfortunately have not had the opportunity to use it as we are feeding sheep and goats. But basically, Hold is going to be used to limit weight gain while still keeping that animal looking fresh, and keeping them comfortable and full, and replacing some of that feed. This would be something I would totally recommend for someone who comes in and says, hey, we've got 20 days till weigh in and we can only gain 20 pounds. What would you recommend? This product will be absolutely wonderful for that. Like I said, you're going to keep those animals looking fresh, going to keep them comfortable, but you are not going to gain a large amount of weight. So I believe it's right around 1 pound per day is what your gain would be if you utilize Hold correctly, which is, like I said, super helpful if someone wants to stay under a certain weight range, or they need to make sure that they're under, a weight limit to get into a county fair, or even if they kind of want to do a holding pattern, because they may be feeding one for a different show. So we have not been able to utilize Hold in our program, but for swine customers, this would be an absolutely wonderful option to keep things fresh and to not gain weight. The developer products. So there are several different options as far as products go, depending on what species that you're feeding or what type of animal that you're feeding. I would say for a lot of customers, this has been great, just as a highly fortified supplement to go into our feed. We've noticed that our hair growth is very good with this product. It is not a hair growth product, but the hair quality that we have, I certainly give a lot of credit to the developed products for that. It's also great just to make sure that your animal is getting everything that they need as far as vitamin and mineral content goes. So this is just a product that goes in daily for everything in the barn. I think that it certainly is worthwhile for hide, hair, keeping those animals healthy. But it's not something that has, I guess it has plenty of uses, or it has a lot of uses, but it doesn't have a specific purpose. This is just a great kind of like a daily vitamin for us to take. This would be great just to make sure that every animal in the barn has it, so that you are meeting all of their needs as far as vitamin mineral content goes. Cleanup. Cleanup is a product that we have used in our barn. We've recommended it to several others. It is high in carbohydrates. So the first ingredient is sugar in this product. It is great to help animals stimulate their appetite. It's great to help increase feed intake for animals who need to gain weight or their appetite just isn't quite there. It has been very, very effective. So you can use this as a top dress, or you can wet feed with it. We usually use it as a top dress. I would say for best application, I would start it off slowly and then increase from there. But we have had a lot of luck getting animals to wait faster or getting them to clean up feed, hence the name, clean up feed a whole lot better than they were before this product, just because it tastes good. It's very, very palatable. Something that we certainly have seen a lot of success with. If we've got to push a lamb, or we've got one that kind of backs off feed midsummer with heat and things like that, this is a product we would certainly utilize. Questions. If anyone has any questions, please feel free to ask, or we can go over any specific products if you would like to do so.
Yeah, that's great, Madison. Thank you very much for going through that. I'm going to go ahead and unmute everyone if you want to just ask a question. Otherwise, you can put it up in the chat box. All right, any questions out there?
Madison, on the OptiFlex, you didn't go over that? Do you still have that product?
Yes, I believe the OptiFlex is still available. That is not one that we have. Give me 1 second here. Sorry.
I think we have to be careful in that, Casey, because it's got chondroitin in it. So there's a withdrawal if you're feeding it to a butcher animal.
Yeah, I've got a buddy that is really big into the show pigs. And when they get to about 260, 270, they get kind of flat in their pasterns. And so he was thinking about trying that to soften them up a little bit, maybe.
Mm-hmm. And Madison, you might be able to recommend, but I wonder if the LQHA would be a better option for that.
I was going to say, I know that I have spoken with Tania and that the LQHA Plus is totally safe for market animals. I would probably try that out. I would say that in our personal experience, it's much more effective than Lubricant or other hyaluronic acid type products. So I would certainly give it a shot and see if that might be able to fix the issues that they're having.
Okay.
Or lessen the issues.
All right.
That's good. Any other questions? All right, I do want to clarify something that I said earlier. The show contender line is actually going to be on sale through the end of July. So, again, if you're, questioning if you want to try it or not, I hope you picked up some information tonight, but it's also a great time to take advantage of the sale pricing.
I would also say, and I'm not sure how many of you were at DAC days and how many of you were not able to make it. Some products that I think are super easy to kind of get into customers' hands and then obviously have them come back would be products like Staying Power, Big Gain, Ripped. They're kind of my gateway products, if that makes sense. So they're products that can be utilized and see almost an immediate difference. If you're in those products for 10 to 12 days, I think you're seeing a big difference. For the Staying Power, it's even less time. So it's something that you may get them started on that, and then they do end up using a daily product like, the developed products. So I would certainly bring in some Staying Power. I would bring in, some Ripped, because if you have that on hand when it's needed, it will definitely sell for you.
Madison, I got another question.
Yeah.
On that Staying Power, so like our jackpot season's getting ready to start out here in Iowa, and it's like every weekend. So if you start it 3 days before, some of these are 2-day jackpots, and so there's going to be like 2 days in between where they're not on it, and they're going to do this for 2 months. Have you ran into a problem with that?
I have not run into a problem with that. One suggestion that I may have on that, I would probably, for going to jackpot shows, go ahead and use that the night before the show, the morning of the show, right before you go in class. And then for a county fair type setting, I would go ahead and start that 3 days before you go into county fair. So I think your customer base and kind of who you're working with, certainly what you're going to be doing is a little bit different than some of the folks who may be using product. So if you can go ahead for like jackpot shows and such, start the night before, I think that you will certainly see a difference. But you don't have the stress of being away from home for 3 or 4 days before you show.
Okay.
Perfect. Anyone else have any questions? All right. So, Madison, I appreciate you getting on and going through the show contender line. I think it's something that, we could grow all around as a company. We don't have a webinar next month. We'll be off next month, but then we'll be starting up again in July. And I don't think I have anything else to add. I think just, appreciate everyone getting on tonight, and I hope you found it beneficial, and I think that's where we'll end tonight. Everyone have a great night.
Thank you. And Andy, if anyone has questions or specific questions for later in the summer, if a customer contacts them, please feel free to share my information, and I will gladly give them my approach to whatever questions they may have.
Gotcha. And if you guys need Madison's information, just reach out to your territory manager and they'll be able to pass it on to you. So, all right. Thanks again, Madison.